Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar, Carmanah's Wrong Way Driving Solutions and New Product Updates. My name is Connor, and I will be your moderator. A couple things before we get going. All phone lines are muted, so if you have any questions, use the chat feature, go to webinar toolbar. Presentation will last about 40 minutes or so, which will give us time for questions at the end. By attending today's webinar, you are eligible to earn TARP points with IMSA. For those of you who provided your IMSA number during the registration process, Western Systems will handle that for you. And lastly, the webinar will be made available on demand. You will get an email tomorrow with a link to do so. All right, with the housekeeping out of the way, I'm excited to introduce today's presenter, Kai Antrim, Territory Manager, Western Systems. Kai, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Connor, and good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate you again taking the time to patch into our webinar series today. We've got some exciting new updates for all of you guys out there. I don't know if you're anything like me, you're ready for a haircut and you're keeping an eye on when things are going to be able to open up and get back to normal. As outside sales people, we are not used to being confined to our houses this long. So what was once a neat and tidy office and really organized and ready to dig in for the long haul. Well, 2 months later, and I'm itching to get out. So it'll be interesting to see if we start to get people saying, "Oh, this county's open. I can go get my haircut here, or I can go to the bowling alley here," as the different rules get rolled out. But in all seriousness, I hope everybody's doing well out there. Families are staying well and healthy, and hopefully we can get back to some degree of normal. As we start to kind of ramp up out of this situation, I encourage you guys to keep in touch with your sales reps at Western Systems. We're going to be essentially waiting to hear from all of you guys when you guys are comfortable with us getting to the next level. So I'm headquartered out of Everett, Washington, and some parts of the state, I think they've got maybe a 10-county plan that's kind of saying, at this point, we're going to be able to have visitors to City Hall and stuff. So I'm looking out over the next couple weeks and months and saying, maybe we can start planning things in this neck of the woods and kind of working our way around until, everybody's comfortable and the situation's relatively under control. So anyway, as Connor mentioned, we're going to give you guys a little bit of an update on Carmanah today. Carmanah, we had already done a webinar a couple weeks ago, but every other year, Carmanah does this. They put on this nice production where they have all of their distributors and dealers come up to, up to Victoria, BC, and they show us the latest and greatest, and we do a little hands-on training. Unfortunately, and obviously, this year that didn't work out, so we had to do kind of a virtual distributor conference, but we still thought it'd be interesting. That was about a week ago. We thought it'd be interesting to give you guys a little bit of a product update on some of the latest and greatest and kind of a roadmap of what's to come. So this year was no exception. I've got a number of new potential products and things that you guys can start thinking about getting out at your roadway to help increase pedestrian safety. Pedestrian and vehicular safety. So without further ado, let's get started. Today, what we're going to cover, StreetHub connectivity, cellular modems being inside of your beacons, overhead lighting solutions, the new thing for Carmanah, wrong way driving systems, and then I'll give you guys just a couple tidbits on things that we see coming in the next couple quarters, next year out or so. So StreetHub. Don't know if you guys are familiar with the term, probably not because it's relatively new, but StreetHub is essentially this idea that each of our beacons could be providing us a lot more information if we had the ability to monitor remotely what's going on out there. So why connectivity? Well, we live in a world that everything's starting to become connected. It's interesting, there's a real life case study right now is that at the end of the school year, different schools were closing down and people were we were taking a lot of calls of people who were interested in this kind of technology as a way to override their school beacon schedules. That's just one of the use cases that we'll touch on today. But the idea is we can be more proactive in the management of our systems out there if we have connectivity that doesn't require us to be out there actually on site at every single location. Being connected gives us the ability to make data-driven decisions. Overall, it lowers the operating costs. So if you aren't going out there just to see if the battery is good, you've actually got a notification on your phone saying, oh, your battery's getting low, or your solar panel isn't functioning properly, or maybe there's a tree over one of your solar panels that might be affecting it. Those are the kinds of things that if we can get out in front of on the front end, we actually reduce the cost, the overall product cost over the life of the equipment. Improve transportation and safety in our communities. Again, a sign that says 20 miles per hour when school is or when children are present isn't nearly as effective as actually having a flashing beacon that comes on at the specific time. And then we can understand what is actually happening. A lot of times, you guys as agencies, you're going to receive calls from concerned citizens saying everything from, oh, the school beacon's not working to it's knocked over. If you guys get out in front of those, that's going to reduce the time that people are calling in, making complaints, and you guys are driving out just to confirm, the kind of issues people are reporting. So StreetHub is the way that we are going to integrate our beacon networks essentially in the cloud. So StreetHub is provided from Carmanah as a turnkey solution. In the past, Western Systems and other distributors who were savvy using these beacons were able to piece together solutions. That worked well. We actually got pretty good at it, but nothing really beats a system that is off the shelf from the factory, makes it easier for contractors, anybody who might be installing this, city employees, the people who are out there actually having to put all the equipment together. If that equipment's already integrated, tested, it's got all the harnessing, it's going to make it a lot easier to put up from start to finish. So we'll talk a little bit about the StreetHub applications. Essentially, StreetHub can go in any beacon that you want. As you guys, anybody familiar with Carmanah knows, we've got a vast line of products that are all modular, so a lot of cross compatibility in the parts. But in essence, where you'd be using a StreetHub, a 24-hour flasher. So a 24-hour flasher is just blinking all the time, but if you're able to remotely monitor the battery, the solar panel, the LED, make sure those are all working, that's going to reduce your long-term maintenance costs. It also gives you the ability to program when it's coming on. Maybe you've got a stop sign flasher that's really just way too bright at night, and you want to program when the intensity is dimmed down. This is going to give you the ability, instead of going out there and manually making those changes, it's going to give you the ability to be a little bit more proactive and do that from the comfort of your home. What we're finding right now is a lot of cities are saying, right towards the end of the school year, we didn't know what the schedule was going to be. It was changing by the day. They didn't know if they were going to cancel school. They didn't know if they were going to start it up. It makes it really, really hard for our technicians or school districts or maintenance folks to budget their time in terms of when they're going to get out there. A lot of these, even smaller school districts, they can have upwards of 40, 50, 60 school beacons. That's a lot of stops to get out of your car, turn on your hazard lights, and go reprogram equipment. Radar feedback signs. That's another time where maybe you want to remotely program when that's turned on. As you guys know, if you leave signs out there and don't change anything, after a while they lose their effectiveness. So sometimes you want to just turn that on at specific times, or you've got a lot of people speeding. You might want to tie those to some beacons and have them flashing certain times of the day. But also pulling back that data. When are people speeding? How fast are they going? Those are the kinds of things that will become a lot more useful to you if you guys are able to pull that back remotely. Crosswalk beacons. This is another application where we're starting to see an interest in remote connectivity. You want to bring back things like number of activations. You want to find out what times of day this is getting a lot of use, what times of year. You want to bring back your battery health. Crosswalk beacons, they get a lot of complaints. If people push those and they don't work, you are going to hear about it. So having an idea that your battery is getting low and being able to go out there and proactively manage that before an issue arises is very important. For those of you familiar with the Carmanah line, or for even anybody on here who might not be, it's a system that is purpose-built for specific locations. So we don't say, here's our generic size solar panel. We say, what exactly is it you're trying to do? We're going to right size and purpose build the system for you. Some applications only require a 10-watt solar panel, while others, maybe there's a building, an obstruction, doesn't get much sunlight, it's going to require even up to 120-watt solar panel, 150-watt. We have the capability to right-size the system anywhere along that spectrum for you guys. But the goal with StreetHub was to integrate into the existing product portfolio. So what that means is we're adding a cellular modem that's going to add a load to your guys' system out there. So we do want to be very careful that if we're doing this as a retrofit, we're going to go through and make sure that whatever location, wherever you have the install, is going to be suitable for the additional load. If we're purchasing you guys a new system, we're going to start at the 30-watt solar panel size. So that's the F series. Carmanah is broken into essentially 3 different product lines, an E, an F, and a G. The E series is your 10-watt solar panels. We all love those because they're extremely light, easy to install, kind of a one-man install type of thing. They can mount on just the signpost. They don't have to have a big spun aluminum pole or a steel pole that requires additional install time. But the downside of that, there's not a lot of space up there in that solar engine. So if you guys are interested in integrating a StreetHub device, we're gonna need at least the F engine, which as you can see in that lower right-hand corner, right-hand picture, it's got room there for an additional third-party device. This is where we put a Polera push button if you want an audible push button. This is where we put a time clock, anything like that. But if you guys are ordering the StreetHub system, we're going to integrate this at the factory right there in that open space. So if you're imagining the entire system, you've got your energy management system on the right side there that's going to give you your solar charge controller, but also your scheduler, all kind of built in one. If it's a solar system, below there is where your batteries sit. The other integration where this is available is in the G series. Now the G series is a cabinet-based system. In other words, we've got a lot more space to do things. You can see that we haven't had to be so conservative when we put in the StreetHub system here. There's a lot of extra room for your fingers going in there when you're getting in there to work. So the G series, similar to the F series, it's got the modem on the left side, and then your control boards with all of your inputs and outputs on the right side. If this is a solar system, it's going to have a large, up to a 55 amp hour battery that lives in the bottom of that cabinet. And if it's an AC system, it's going to have a step down transformer that actually converts from AC to DC. In other words, all of your motherboard system, the modem, those are all going to be the same and cross compatible. We realize that where possible, a lot of agencies like to use AC, but it's not always cost effective. People like being green and using solar where possible, but we still want the system to be modular so you don't have to keep a bunch of different control boards sitting around. So we've just got one universal, what we call EMS, energy management system, that works across the entire product line. And then I mentioned the SpeedCheck integration. This is actually a better view. Each of them are still utilizing the G series cabinet. So on the left, you've got what would be an AC system. If you order StreetHub, we've already got all of those harnesses included there for you. So, and it's been tested at the factory. One of the great things about Carmanah, you'll see a bunch of kind of lower cost LED systems out there. Carmanah comes with a 5-year warranty. When you open one of these, you're really going to see the workmanship in it and the time and thought that went into having a practical design. So on the left, the AC backplane is on the bottom. You see the step-down transformer goes through the power supply and then provides DC power to all the components. On the right-hand side, configured in a very similar way for the SpeedCheck cabinet, but you've got a spot for the battery. So in the past, some of you might say, well, we've already got remote connectivity to our beacons. The applied information modem, at least with Western Systems, has been available for a number of years. It's just instead of you guys getting 2 different boxes, one that's got your Carmanah equipment, the other one that has your cell phone modem equipment, it's all being integrated at the factory. What we found is there's not, it's actually very cost effective for agencies to purchase this as one package. You get it all at the same time. You know it's already been tested, and it's a turnkey solution for you guys to have out there. The actual monitoring portion of this is done through a cloud-based program called Glance. Now, Glance is cool because once you've got a profile, you can access it from any device. It doesn't have to go through your network. So a lot of people have concerned IT departments that say, you know, oh, we need to vet it. We need to be able to make sure that it's not vulnerable to outside attacks. And this is a good way to keep your guys' traffic maintenance and your school beacon maintenance separate from the greater IT process at your agency. So the web browser-based platform, as I mentioned, can work on desktop or mobile device. It's all cloud-based, and it's got a Google Map display. So as you can see in this particular diagram, this person's got a number of different devices connected. You can see school beacons, you can see some crosswalk beacons. Those are all going to appear, because each of them is equipped with a GPS unit. Those are all going to appear on your screen as soon as the devices are turned on. So again, one of the big features that people seem to enjoy is the remote scheduling feature for radar feedback signs, but also school zones. School zones have taken on an additional point of emphasis for people just because the clocks are changing so much. People are changing the schedules. You've got early release, you've got snow days, you miss snow days, you're extending the school year like we did last year. Up to 20 unique schedules and unlimited holidays and exceptions makes programming just about any situation that you might come across in a school district kind of a breeze. You got the ability to add temporary delays or stop schedules. So I know a lot of schools in our area, they've got early release, but it's not always consistent. This makes sure that we're actually programming our beacons so that they match up with the school schedules. It doesn't do any good if we've got this thing flashing when there's no kids around and people think, oh, that thing just randomly flashes. We want people to see that and yield for children out there. Again, monitoring real-time and historical system health data. So going into each of your beacons, some people, they choose to set a alarm anytime their batteries drop below, say, 11 volts or something. It's still functioning properly, but you know that they're on their way out. If you're doing warranty planning, again, a 5-year warranty with these Carmanah systems, you before the warranty period's up, start looking through, do a health data check or set thresholds for yourself so you can actually say, this is where we're going to have to replace things. It can be set up to have text or email alerts. All right, so that's a kind of quick overview on the glance system. So what we're going to get to next is overhead lighting. So this is an interesting one, new to Carmanah, but it makes quite a bit of sense. So for some of you, I think some of you know the history of Carmanah, and they used to have a bunch of different verticals. Well, in the last 2 years, they've started focusing exclusively on roadways, specifically kind of on their traffic vertical. But the other side of their business is solar lighting, and so now Carmanah has just those two channels: solar lighting, which are your typical Cobra street light signs, heads, and LEDs, and then their crosswalk and school beacon systems, that kind of thing. But now they've kind of taken that knowledge that they have across both of those departments and combine them together. What they found is lighting up accidents that occur on unlit roads are almost twice as likely to be fatal as those that occur on well-lit roads. And adding streetlights can reduce nighttime crashes by 50%. So you've got this RRFB or whatever it is, and that's great for illuminating the sides, but actually illuminating the crosswalk, that's kind of a new concept, and one that after thorough testing, they found that there is quite a bit of interest in. There's a market for, but more importantly, it really, really works well. So we're really excited at Western Systems to have an option that integrates overhead lighting with our RRFB systems. In a lot of cases, this can mount just on your typical Pelco poles that you guys have out there already, or you've already installed with your RRFBs. What we're going to do, there's a number of different configurations, but this one on the left, we're just going to add that Cobra head to the top of the pole. These still work in the solar systems. This one on the right shows you what potentially a traffic island in the middle of a crossing might look like, going either direction. So a number of different configurations based on the particular application. Here's an install where they've got a little mini traffic signal mast arm, and they've got the rectangular wrapped and flashing beacon both on the top and at the side. If you combine that with a luminaire and add high output LED street lighting, you're going to have create a situation that's really, really, really going to maximize the yield rates for drivers. Here's a picture of an actual install. Again, it's still pretty low profile. You've got the Cobra head coming out there now, but this isn't like installing your typical light post that's just massive with a big lead time. This is going to add a little bit of extra hardware and potentially increase safety at that particular crossing quite a bit. You might be wondering, how is this thing operated? Well, there's actually two different types. Again, just like the rest of the product line, we can do AC or solar, and the lights can either operate on a different schedule or on the same schedule and be powered by the same actual controller. So we could set this up where we say the lights only come on when the beacons are flashing, or we can say we want the lights on all the time, or maybe we can just program it for just certain times a day. But the important thing is you have the flexibility to decide what's going to be the most benefit for our particular application. Not completely unlike the glance system that we talked about with the modems in it, there is a little bit of additional hardware, and you're driving an additional LED fixture. So we're going to start at the F series, again, the 30-watt solar panel. Anytime you're interested in going into this, we're going to want to check your latitude and longitude and give you guys an idea of what's going to be sustainable. The last thing you want to do is add so much load that the system can't handle the RRFBs and the Cobra Lighthead at the same time, and then you've created two problems. So F series 30 watts, G series, essentially a modular system where you can go pretty large with that solar panel. Energy balance reports, these are the same reports that we've been doing for a number of years now, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to guarantee system performance if we've compiled one of these reports. So we're going to ask you guys, for say an RRFB, how many activations do you get? What's the latitude and longitude? What kind of third-party devices? Are they audible push buttons or regular push buttons? How bright do you want the LEDs to be? All of these things, the more information we can gather from agencies up front, the more we're going to be able to say, we're confident the system is going to work based on the power in and the power out. Again, if you've got an AC system, these issues go out the window. So, of course, if power is available, AC works really, really well for these systems. Light layouts. So if you guys really need to get a visual, maybe you're going for a grant, maybe you're trying to sell this up your chain of command, those are coming soon. We don't have those quite yet, but what we're going to do is take a look at the place where you're planning on having an install and essentially do a light layout and say, where exactly are we trying to eliminate? Is it just a street crosswalk, or is it around the crosswalk? And we're going to say, this is the size of the system required. This is what it's going to give you in terms of light output. We have available the CAD drawings for these, purchase specifications. Definitely reach out to your territory manager here after we're done if you're interested in learning a little bit more. Wrong way drivers. So this is an interesting one, but also, again, a logical place for Carmanah to go with their product roadmap. So the idea is the status quo isn't working. If you've already made the wrong move and gone the wrong direction, there's a good chance that the static sign out there isn't going to help. Signs, pavement markings, retroreflectivity, they aren't having enough of an impact. We're still seeing vehicles involved in wrong way collisions, be it improper signing, people not paying attention. But you know what really, really gets your attention is a very, very bright LED flashing in your face. A single warning, source of warning issued to a distracted or impaired driver, it isn't sufficient on conflict-prone roadways. So what we're seeing is if it's a spot that has historically had a lot of people going the wrong direction or making that mistake, just adding a sign, it might give the agency a little bit of peace of mind, but it's not actually going to improve the actual or lower the actual number of people doing this. Many new wrong way driver solutions with detection technology, they're giving too many false alerts. Again, we want to make sure that if we're sending off alarms and blinkers when somebody's going the wrong way, it better be when that's actually an issue, or we're going to have the same problem we have with all these other systems, that after a while, those types of warnings start to get ignored. So what we do know, effective solutions are available. You know, if these signs look somewhat familiar to you, it's because it's built on the same platform as all of the other Carmanah products. So we've been selling a number of LED enhanced signs. You've seen those where the LEDs are around the edge of the sign. All we've done is put that on a wrong way sign. The RRFB light bars, we haven't traditionally had those in red, but now we've got the exact same technology that you see at your crosswalks in red for the specific purpose of wrong way driving systems. Again, no one size fits all when it comes to creating solutions like this. So there's 3 different options that you have when considering this. One is the WW100, that's the simplified version, 24-hour flashing warning sign. The WW200, which is a vehicle detection and warning system, that's actually got a detector that's going to activate the beacon. And then you've got the WW400. It's the detection system, a warning, and an alert system. So that's the system that you're actually backhauling all of that information to a remote location. So the WW100, again, this is built on the same platform as the E-Series RRFBs or school beacons or 24-hour flashers. All it is we're going to include red light bars when you do it. It still can mount on either a telespar pole or a spun aluminum. It's the same enclosed housing. So in terms of keeping spare parts, we're going to use the same controller, same battery, same housing, same solar panel. All that's different about this is it's going to be flashing RRFBs 24/7. The other 24-hour flashers we had were either LED enhanced signs or they were 8 or 12-inch beacons. This will be the first time that we've utilized RRFBs as 24-hour flashers. Again, this is easy to retrofit on existing poles. So maybe you have a wrong way sign. You don't have a lot of budget to add an entire new system. This is going to be an easy way to retrofit even out there at your existing locations. The WW200 vehicle detection and warning system, this one's going to be in normally open state where the contact is not closed unless it gets a trigger. Well, very similar to how we trigger a push button or a radar or whatever it might be, a school calendar to go on and off. This one's going to be activated by a radar that's going to close that contact. In other words, it's just going to be sitting there, not lit up until it detects somebody going the wrong way. So it's a directional radar. It's going to be able to tell if people are traveling the wrong way and immediately turn on that sign. Again, we are showing this in this picture with the G-Series cabinet because now you're driving the LED light bars as well as the radar. So in many situations, it will be necessary to upgrade the size of your system to be able to handle that additional load. But again, we'll perform a report to tell you the size of your system that we require. The WW400 vehicle detection warning and alert system, this is going to have a very, very similar layout to the other ones with an extra layer. So it's using a combination of vehicle detection, warning, alert, makes it a little bit more complex in nature. This is ideal for your extremely problematic locations with a high wrong way driver crash rate. Again, you can stick one of these systems out, but it's hard to tell with, say, the WW100 whether it's hard to get empirical data that this is actually working. So if you guys want to combine the functionality of having the flash, have the flash activated, but also have a notification that this is what's happening or this is how often it's happening, this is the system that you guys are going to want. You can see it's got cameras going 2 directions. It's got radar, obviously the control cabinet. You can use a wrong way sign with LED enhanced buttons like we're showing, or you could have the RRFB bars. This particular system shows the F-Series solar panel. So maybe you want to just run, that's the E-Series. You just want to run the actual wrong way LED sign solar because it's a little ways away or whatever it is, and the rest of it AC. It's a modular system, so you can configure it however you need to. So they call this progressive confirmation technology. So essentially what you're doing is radar unit is detecting an incoming wrong way vehicle. The second step is to actually warn the drivers. So wherever the wrong way signs might be, each of these systems can be equipped with a radio. So if you have multiple wrong way signs, it only takes triggering one of them to get all of them to turn on because they're all on the same radio frequency. The video camera has analytics to confirm the vehicle is traveling in the wrong direction. So again, you want a little bit of ground truthing out there. You want to make sure that that thing's only being activated when somebody is in fact going the wrong way. That's the video confirmation. And then the 4th step, the alert. So video and image event is packaged up and sent over to the TMC, the police department, whoever's monitoring this. It's actually going to show this happening, so you have some real proof of it. The fifth step, if necessary, you can have your TMC review the event package and respond appropriately. Maybe this is the first alert you get for an actual head-on collision, or maybe you guys want to forward the information to the police department because you think they need to go chase down a drunk driver. Whatever it may be, this is your actual eyes and ears out there that are saying this is actionable information and this is how we need to respond. The video camera, it provides a clear, more useful data to the TMC staff. It's a high quality color and infrared video, and still images can be included in the package. So maybe you want to track this guy down who's going the wrong way, and give him a ticket. The camera gives you the ability, and the user can program how long you want to record that person driving the wrong direction, or how many still images you want. This is how you actually get that data back. The radar can detect that something's there. The camera's going to detect what it is and how long it's there and what it's doing there. Again, the camera is going to confirm that it's a vehicle. The proprietary algorithm provides rapid analysis. So bringing this back to your TMC, it's able to tell you this is a vehicle, this is how fast it's going, 100 miles an hour the wrong direction. Again, this infrared camera is sensitive to light, doesn't rely or need overhead illuminators because of the infrared, and it still is able to produce clear, accurate images. Again, this is a way to make sure you're not generating false alerts. So why is this the best technology out there for wrong way driving? It's purpose-built. It gives you processing in real time. It's designed to do license plate recognition if you want to use this as more of an enforcement tool. The IR is zoomed in. Again, the infrared is what helps you see in difficult conditions, and you're able to use that in close-up with this camera. Stable operation in high wind locations, but also, perhaps most importantly, this is great for CCTV monitoring and can be integrated into other video management systems. Automated alert, we talked about this a little bit before. You can get an email, SMS, direct message, and then you can say, we'd like color video or color images or IR images or an XML file. Each of these events can be packaged in a way that it's usable for you guys. In this particular application, they're showing an actual person sitting around there waiting. If you've got a situation where this is happening quite a bit, you can perform a final visual check before you forward it on to the police department, call first responders. You could populate dynamic message signs to alert other drivers. So you can imagine a wrong way driver going on a really, really long stretch of road. This happens so quickly that you're able to, populate a VMS and say something like wrong way driver ahead, or alert for, stray vehicle, something like that. So that's a little bit on the newest products. So in terms of the product roadmap and what we see coming down the pipe, Carmanah has moved in the direction of having emergency beacons. A lot of times these would be used for something like a fire station or an ambulance station or police department. What this is going to do is use the same technology that you guys have out there with your existing beacons, and actually, instead of triggering it as a push button or a calendar, it's a button that you can put on your wall at the fire station, or you can plug it into your DC outlet inside of your fire engine or something like that, and it's going to trigger the beacon. So we've seen people use these in a fire truck approaching when flashing, or crossing when flashing, and instead of that being mounted somewhere else on a pole, you can put it wherever you need to and activate the beacon. A little antenna is a 2.4 gigahertz antenna, so same technology as you've got in your RRFBs, and can be mounted anywhere for kind of your unique applications. So SpeedCheck, when Carmanah purchased IDC, I guess it's been almost a year and a half, couple of years ago now, they were only producing 15 and 18-inch signs, so the recommendation is above 45 miles an hour. You've got an sign with 18-inch digits, and below 45 miles an hour, you've got a sign with 15-inch digits. What they found is there's a lot of interest in having an even smaller portable system. So you might have seen these on things like dollies or temporary applications, padlock to a sign. A lot of people like to move these around. Even right now, they do have a quick disconnect system that allows you to move your signs from post to post. But this is a really, really compact system that can be rolled out in short order with a single person. Again, you can run it on just battery, you can run it on AC, you can run it on solar in a more permanent installation. One of the cities around here, Edmonds, Washington, they've got some 20 different radar feedback sign stations where they've got the solar panel. They just unhook it every time they want to move it around. They only have to have 5 or so signs, and they move it from location to location. Again, that makes it so that drivers don't get used to seeing it and then ultimately start ignoring it. In terms of the user interface, everything else is going to look very similar to you guys, how you program the schedules, how you pull back the data, the traffic analyzer software. Everything's going to look the same, just in a smaller version. So a recap, what we've covered: StreetHub connectivity, overhead lighting solutions, wrong way driving systems, and a little bit of the product roadmap. Again, this is just supposed to be a quick introduction and high-level overview of a lot of these systems. Any of the sales reps at Western Systems has access to kind of a broad collection of demo devices. So seeing is believing. Even if we have to get on here and do a webinar like this, but actually dive into the equipment a little bit. Most of the salespeople, you can see a solar system back there. We're able to do a lot of this remotely. We're getting a lot better at showing some of the equipment over using things like Zoom and gimbals and GoToMeeting. So we definitely want to be out there to support you guys, even if we can't be out there in person. And we appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully soon we go back to actually being able to take these out and show you guys in person. That's all I got. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I want to turn it over to Connor, who's kind of been taking care of the questions. If anybody wants any more information, please reach out at any time.
Great, thanks, Kai. We'll get going on the Q&A process. If you do have any questions, feel free to use the chat feature within your GoToWebinar toolbar. And we did have a couple that came in while you were speaking, Kai, so we can jump in and tackle those. The first one for you is, are wrong way driving systems cross-compatible with the existing Carmanah product line?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of the hardware, it's going to be built on a very, very similar platform. So your solar panels, your solar charge controllers, your batteries, all those kinds of things are going to be cross-compatible. One thing to note, though, light bars, if you're going with that system, those are going to be specific to the wrong way driver systems because they're red. Similar, the LED enhanced signs, such as a wrong way driver, you're not going to use those in really any other application. But in terms of the core components, yes, certainly. And that's been something that's very important to Carmanah. They want to say, you don't have to have 5 manufacturers out there for RRFBs, school beacons, radar feedback signs. Let's make this a modular system that makes it easier for our techs to work on and for our agencies to have spare parts sitting around.
Great. Looks like we got one more for you. Can SpeedCheck signs be moved from one location to another pretty easily?
Yeah, maybe that question came in before we talked about that a little bit. But yeah, they're all mobile. It's just a matter of how often you want to move them around, how much your agency allows you to lift. I guess the 18-inch signs tend to get pretty large. But we encourage that. We think that it's a good thing for people to have, a sign up here when there's a particular issue. With the traffic analyzer, you're able to see whether it's had a positive effect. And then sometimes, as a cost-saving measure, just move that one to the next location and cycle them through some of your hot button points, that places that seem to have some issues.
Great. That looks like all the questions we got today. So thanks, Kai, and thanks everyone for hopping on today's webinar. We look forward to seeing you on another one in the future, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Connor.